My name is Benedict. We're still here on the AM show. We'll talk some sports. And yesterday, the UEFA Champions League matches were on. Two matches. Manchester City are out of the competition. Monaco are through to the next stage of the competition. And also, Atletico Madrid making it. Thomas Partey's Atletico Madrid making it to the next stage of the competition. And also, a lot more here on the local scene. Ghana Premier League matches played in midweek. Kumasi Asante Kotoko won their game against Wafa at the Kumasi Stadium. Akwan Heartful were in Tema. They lost their game to Tema Youth by 2-1. Later on in the program, we'll do more about the Ghana Premier League. We'll check the standings as well as matches to expect going into this coming weekend. But we do the Ghana Olympic Committee elections, and Nunoo Mensah is the new president of the Ghana Olympic Committee. Well, yesterday's election at the Alisa Hotel saw Nunoo Mensah polled 33 votes as against incumbents. That's Professor Francis Dodoo getting 28. My colleague George Adu Jr. was there and has come through with this report.
Had 28 votes. Then Nunoo Mensah had 33. Total valid votes 61. So Mr. Nunoo Mensah has been elected as the president of the GOC.
That's how Ghana weightlifting president Nunoo Mensah was pronounced new GOC boss after a closely fought race for the high post. Nunoo Mensah was elected as the new Ghana Olympic Committee leader after ousting incumbent Professor Francis Dodoo. Nunoo Mensah had 33 votes, with Professor Dodoo getting 28 votes of the total votes cast, beating the former Olympian by just 5 votes. The president of the Weightlifting Federation was almost speechless upon the announcement he had ascended the high throne.
I think that I must say that Professor Dodoo had led very well. In the last 5 years, it was one of the most challenging period in Ghana's sports, especially when it came to funding. So for him to be able to go through and come to the end of it, and let me say that he has really done very well, and he deserves. Can we please all give a standing ovation to Professor Francis Dodoo?
Professor Francis Dodoo, who has been at the helm of affairs of the Olympic governing body since 2011, was graceful in defeat.
I will leave. I will shake the hands of the new president again and of the elections committee. Again, I would like to thank the elections committee and the subcommittee that deals with dispute resolution. I think the work that you've done, or the work that we as a GOC have asked you to do in the limited time that we gave you, was extremely well done, and we appreciate all that we can.
New GOC boss Nunoo Mensah will be assisted by Paul Achu of the Ghana Volleyball Association, who won the polls for the position of first vice president, and Richard Apokavi of the Ghana Hockey Federation, who beat Mohamed Shanoon of the Ghana Cycling Federation for the position of secretary general. Frederick Otulate of the Ghana Taekwondo Association is the new treasurer of the GOC, and he will be assisted by Theophilus Ezi of the Ghana Swimming Association. It's been a very tight election out here, and as we will have it, the change these members were looking for of the Ghana Olympic Committee definitely happening out here. Nunoo Mensah is the new president of the Ghana Olympic Committee, and definitely Professor Francis Dodoo will be making the way. Quite a lot happened here. We've seen everything happening. And if you look at the margins, it was 33 from Nunoo Mensah to 28 of Professor Francis Dodoo. Suggests that there are huge factions in the GOC, and the very first job he has to do, Nunoo Mensah, will be reuniting the Ghana Olympic Committee. Can he do it? Speaking to a number of the delegates out here, they're all looking forward to their sporting federations reaping a lot from the new leadership. Just how will this pan out? I know surely this is the beginning of something great or negative for the Ghana Olympic Committee. George Adu Jr. from the Lisa Hotel at the GOC Elective Congress.
That was my colleague George Adu Jr. You know, yesterday covering the Ghana Olympic Committee elections at the Alisa Hotel. So congrats to Nunoo Mensah, his new president of the Ghana Olympic Committee. Well, another election is happening today in Addis Ababa. President of the Ghana Football Association, Kwesi Nyantakyi, is running for the FIFA Council 4-year term. Remember, last few months, he was voted onto the council, but the time has elapsed and must now go for re-election. He's going head-to-head with Tenga of Tanzania. But the big one, of course, is the CAF president between Issa Hayatu and Ahmad of Madagascar. We go straight to Addis Ababa, where my colleague Gary Al Smith is covering the event, and he joins me on phone. Hi, Gary. Very good morning to you. How is Addis Ababa?
Good morning to you, Benedict. It's a very lovely morning, quite dry, but pristine conditions for elections, I would imagine. I'm currently at the African Union headquarters, which is where the elections will be held. A very fitting backdrop for what could potentially be an historic election. The Confederation of African Football is 60 years this year, and you couldn't find a better historic place to come back to look into the future of African football, particular setting, Benedict.
Let's talk about the elections. Let's talk about the two men, Issa Hayatou and Ahmad. I listened to your roundtable discussion with some African veteran sports journalists, and obviously it looks like many are calling for change.
It's a typical classic scenario of elections that have to do with, organizations that have their own internal congresses. I was listening to your report, Dodoo's reports that you just played on the GOC, and you could tell that sometimes people outside may want change or they may want the status quo to be maintained, but the people within the organizations themselves may think differently. And that is what I can see here. A lot of journalists who are coming from around Africa mostly are asking for the wind of change blowing around the world and around the sporting fraternity to be evident in these CAF elections. But as you know, it is delegates who are going to
Absolutely.
decide. And most of the delegates are into, there are those who are openly declaring their stance, and there are those who will not even utter a word if you put a gun to their heads. And so these are the two camps. Among those who are open and vociferous in their support of the candidates, Guinea-Bissau FA President Nascimento is solidly behind Issa Hayatou, as well as a couple of others. Ahmed Ahmad of Madagascar, because he is the challenger and the new man who is coming, a lot more FA presidents have seen the need to come out openly just to bolster support and to encourage others to do the same. The Southern African group, that's COSAFA, are largely behind Ahmed Ahmed, even though we understand that out of the 13 nations, about 3 are going to be rebels and go for Hayatou. We also understand that in West Africa, which is usually a world bank for Issa Hayatou, about 5 or 6 nations will be going for Ahmad. Some that we know are definitely in this direction include Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. All these are going for Ahmad. We also understand that Gianni Infantino, because he went to visit Niger, was able to sway that vote in Ahmad's favor. 1 or 2 may be going for the Malagasy as well, but Issa Hayatou is expected to take the large chunk of West Africa and Central Africa as well. Central Africa, if you recall, includes Gabon and Equatorial Guinea. Both countries have benefited from the Issa Hayatou largesse because they hosted the AFCON in the last couple of editions, in Gabon's case, twice. So this is what is happening. For North Africa, we understand that because there is increasing talk that Ahmad will take the Confederation of African Football headquarters from Egypt if he wins, Egypt will definitely go for Hayatou. We are not too sure how true that is, but that seems like a very solid reason why Egypt should go for Hayatou. Ahmad is hoping for at least 2 or 3 from Northern Africa as well. Infantino went to Mauritania on the last leg of his tour of Africa recently after he visited Ghana, and we expect that that country will also go for Ahmad. So in short, the Ahmad camp yesterday, by the end of yesterday, by 10 p.m., they have started saying that they are expecting about 30 votes from this team that will have 54 people voting. I can tell you that if that happens and Ahmad camp gets 30 votes, you can be sure that by the end of today, Issa Hayatou will be in hospital with a stroke.
So obviously, it will not come as a surprise to you should Hayatou lose this one.
No, it will come as a surprise to me. Actually, my position on it is that it is too close to call. Okay. I think that the thought that Ahmad will get 30 votes is, to be very honest with you, it will come as a huge shock. It will be a seismic victory because I've covered enough elections from school days, from university days, all the way to even national elections in Ghana and in the USA and everywhere. You get the feeling that people don't just vote based on sentiment. And also, one key thing is that we can't discount the fact that Issa Hayatou has pedigree when it comes to CAF elections. There's a reason why he has taken part in 7 elections previously and won every single one of them. In the last 2 elections, where he was contested by Angola's, Amado Machado in 2000, Issa Hayatou handed in a 47-4 thrashing. That was in the year 2000. Yeah. In 4 years later, Ismail Bamji of Botswana, who was formerly a Hayatu ally, also came and was campaigning on the wings of corruption and accusing Hayatu of all manner of things. You know what happened? Isa Hayatu beat him 46-6.
Yes, it was a landslide victory for Isa Hayatu.
With the pedigree of Hayatu and just say that you are going to beat him that way.
Absolutely. But quickly, let's talk about FA President Kwesi Nyantakyi. He is going for the FIFA Council, and I also listened to your report that probably if Ahmad should win this one, Kwesi can become CAF Vice President.
Yes, and that's the talk that is going on around here now. In fact, if you look at the body language of Kwesi Nyantakyi, and if you try to track the way he's been campaigning, it seems you never know what he's going to do when he goes into the ballot box, into the voting booth. But it seems very much like he's going against Isa Hayatu. He has been seen in the company of the Southern African Kosafa. He has been seen in the company of a couple of elements who are seen as anti-Hayatu. And so the sentiment is that Kwesi Nyantakyi is going against Isa Hayatu, and that is what it is here.
Okay.
But if the motivation for him is to become CAF Vice President, I don't see why not, Benedict.
All right, okay. Gary, thanks so much. But what time is the election?
Yes, that's the final thing. And normally CAF elections come at the end of the day. We understand that today, by 10, 11, 12 Ethiopia time, that is between 7, that is between 6
They are 3 hours ahead of us.
8 p.m. Yes, it will be done. It will be done.
All right, okay. Gary, thanks so much. We'll definitely will come to you for more, on the CAF elections happening in Addis Ababa. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for joining us here on the AM show. So that was my colleague Gary Ausmith. He's in Addis Ababa. That's Ethiopia, covering the CAF elections. We definitely will get to know if Hayatu is continuing as a CAF president, or we're going to have a new president in Ahmad of Madagascar. Kwesi Nyantakyi, as I noted, is running for the FIFA Council as well as a re-election onto the CAF Executive Committee. Well, let's come here on the local scene and we'll do the Ghana Premier League match. The 7 matches were played yesterday. That's midweek matches in Tema. Was Accra Hearts went away to play Tema Youth. They lost that game by 2-1. So I'll give you full results of matches that were played yesterday in the league. So while our Stars were at home to Dwarfs, they drew that game 1-1. Aduana Stars also drew their game against Mediama goalless at the Doma Park. Olympics couldn't pick their first few points of the season, drew 1-1 with the Interlights at the Accra Stadium. Tema Youth had to poke Tema Youth 1-2-1. Kotoko also defeated Wafa by a goal to nil at the Barbara Stadium. Chelsea defeated Bolga All Stars by a goal to nil. Bicham United or Mina Sharks drawing goalless, and Ashanti Gold beating Liberty Professionals by a goal to nil. So we've got a table, the table for you. The standings on the Premier League table. So Aduana Stars are still leading 17 now. Kumasi Asante Kotoko have moved second. It's 17 points for Kotoko. Bicham United are third now, with Chelsea fourth. Wild Stars are fifth. Tema Youth yesterday defeated Accra Folk by a goal to nil, so they've moved to sixth. Elmina Sharks are seventh. Liberty, they've dropped to 8th position. Accra Folk have also dropped to 9th. They have 9 points. Wafa 10th. Ebusuan Dwarfs 11th. Ashanti Gold are still down there, 12 with 7 points. And Mediama SC, they are 13 with 6 points. So the last three is Interlights, Bolga All Stars, and Accra goes to Olympics after 7 match days. They've not won a single game. They've drawn 3 and have lost 4. Well, still here on the local scene, and yesterday unpleasant news that came through was the demise of Ghana boxing, amateur boxing president, that's Gideon Kote. Well, the Boxing Federation have been paying tribute to the man.
He's a favorable man. He's a street man. He's a disciplinarian. Ghana amateur boxing, though we are his first vice, though we have our differences, at times we patch up the differences and work together. So, as for the association, we have lost a great man. And once life still continue, we'll still keep the faith. Yeah.
Did this come to you as a surprise?
Very, very surprised, because we had a meeting on Sunday and he promised us he's fit. But hopefully, if he cannot come to this Congress ground, he will give me a proxy vote. He will give me a proxy vote. Only some few hours at the Congress, I received text message that he had passed away. It's so shocking and so surprising to me.
Since you knew Gideon, how would you put his contributions to Ghana boxing? How would you describe that, his contribution to Ghana boxing?
Yeah, he has contributed a lot, because I met him at the Greater Accra. Now he was a Greater Accra president. And I contested that election as a vice president. I won the slot. He moved to the national, and I also joined the national. So working with him, I think, though I enjoy his administration, we have a lot of criticisms, good ones. After the end of the day, we patch up and we work well.